Hi, this is Thad Wittenberg with the Kitchen and Bath Adventure channel. We're excited today about the topic we have. As everybody's probably noticed, the market is starting to dwindle a little bit now. And so the topic is going to be, how do you grow your business in a declining market? We have some special guests with us today. First person I want to introduce is Amy Hart. She is the owner and key designer at Dovetail Design. So I'll turn it over to you, Amy.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for asking me to be on. I hope to share a lot and learn a lot.
All right, so do I. More learn than share. So the other person that we have today, our other special guest is Teddy Lee. He is from Adornis Cabinetry. I'll let you go ahead and say something. Teddy, introduce yourself, what you do.
So I manage business relationships here in New Jersey, as well as manage operations in our factory. So I'm from Adornis Cabinetry. We are a stock and semi-custom manufacturer made in the USA, and I'm glad to be here and welcome to learn. And I thank that for inviting me to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming, Teddy. Yeah, they've done a great job. They set up their plant in South Carolina, and things are rolling for them right now. Both Adornis and Amy Hart with Dovetail are members of our buying group, so it's great to have those people participating. Also, one from the dealer and from the manufacturing perspective. So let's just hop right into the numbers, and I just want to share some of the things that's going on in the marketplace. Been keeping a close eye on it. As you see, we're talking about building your business in a declining market. The next one has slides up there. We talked about those. Here we go. So the industry update. You guys have all been watching the news or hiding somewhere and not wanting to look at it. But hey, it happens. We've had a boom over the last couple of years, and everybody's enjoyed that. And I think had plenty of sales during that time. But everything is cyclical, and we're starting to see, but again, the decline on the backside of this growth. So the numbers we're looking at right now, I mean, if you look at inflation rate in July, it was running 8.8%. Back in May, it was at 8.3, which was the highest in 40 years. I'm sure everybody saw the Fed raise their rates yesterday by 3/4 points. So that's up again. I think there'll be another one in September, and probably they're saying maybe 3 to 4 more by the early 2023. So they're really trying to put the brakes on the economy right now because of how inflation is really running rampant at the moment. Housing prices last year went up 19%, which is huge in 1 year. And I think everybody, got to see what the movement was going on there until it hit the point of affordability coming into play, which is when you see the mortgage rates start to get up there, and people and all the costs that are associated with building homes these days because of all the price increases that we've seen out there because of supply chain issues. So you're starting to see that taper off right now, and builders are slowing down in what they're building because the prices are dropping and their costs are still really high. So we'll see a little dip. There's still a lot of demand out there, but with the mortgage rates where they are, I assuming that it won't be a strong year for builders the rest of this year and into next year. You see some of the other ones. The builder sentiment has been down for like 5 months in a row. This isn't all doom and gloom that we're going to talk about today, but it is reality. So we've got to look that straight in the eyes and then figure out what our next steps are, which is what we're going to talk about today. The last thing that I just wanted to mention, these are all the production lights out here. They're heating it up. So is the cabinet manufacturers. I've already seen people putting promotions out there, which 3 to 4 months ago was unheard of because of capacity. They didn't want to bring on any more business at the time. But I've also heard a lot of them telling their independent reps to go out there and start opening up new dealers. So they're already seeing it on their side, which in May already started dropping about 0.8%. As far as the number of cabinets that are being built. I was talking to a dealer this morning, and they said, I was asked about lead times on one of the products, and they said, well, yeah, they're telling us 10 to 12 weeks, but everything we order is coming in 8 weeks. So I think I know the reason why. The ordering has been slowing down, so the lead times are coming down. So that's one good thing that we're going to see that's positive out of all of this. So really what we're going to focus on, and I'm going to start turning it over to our guests today, are the why. Why do we feel like change needs to take place from a manufacturer's perspective and also for a dealer's perspective as we move forward and the kitchen and bath industry is not as robust as it has been? So, Amy, I'm going to turn the floor over to you and hear some of your thoughts of why you think dealers are in a position to maybe look at their business and re-strategize at this point.
Yeah, I think COVID taught us a lot of lessons. Originally, we all thought, oh no, put on the brakes. I've got to let people go. It's going to slow down. And then we kind of prepared for that. And then we ended up going crazy with orders. And it has been crazy ever since in a good way. And now I don't see yet our market slowing, but I do see the signs. I see housing prices going up, and we're still talking to people saying if you don't have to do your project right now, you may want to wait. And people are saying, no, I've been waiting years to do this, so I really don't want to wait. So we're offering them that opportunity, but people have been saving money and they just want to keep going. I do think this is going to slow, Thad, just like you said. So we've been looking at different ways of being profitable and also scaling up the business. The labor market is very tight. So finding good designers is difficult, and I'm not in a big market. So we were looking at some other options like online sales, and I know you're a big fan of that. Working with maybe a remote designer, taking advantage of other markets who do have really excellent talent. So that's something that I've been talking to you about. And I would say it was a little scary to think about it, but I would say go ahead and just explore that, because it doesn't hurt to get connected with people like Teddy or, other manufacturers and look at your options. As an owner, also, I think being a smaller company and being more nimble is very much in our favor. I did used to work for a large corporation that was a big ship to turn, and being able to adapt to the market changes was almost impossible to do quickly. So I'm lucky in that I'm the one kind of writing the rule book here, and my staff is amazing, and they're just like, oh, another change. All right, here we go. Another new software, change to the website. So they're just super nimble with me, and we just we have a good time knowing that it's all for the sake of the business, keeping revenue there, keeping paychecks going, keeping the hours going. So let me know if you have any specific questions, but I think those were my main thoughts.
Yeah, as we go through we do encourage people to send in questions, and David will flag us down and answer those as we go through. We really like participation. Amy, you brought up a really good point as far as being nimble. One of the things I think we're going to start seeing, and yes, it's just the beginning of the slowdown, and a lot of it depends on the markets you're in. Not all of them are going to be at the same pace, but overall, we are going to start some faster going down and some a little bit slower. But back to what you were saying about being nimble, every book you read, every article that's out there is really about how quickly you can change as an organization and reposition yourself to what's going on in the market, and definitely what's going on with consumer behaviors, because consumer behaviors are changing faster than they ever have. And
Yes.
Amy mentioned,
I think COVID did teach us a lesson in that we immediately brought on other lines with different price points. We were very much middle to high end, And we realized right away that we needed to be able to accommodate the smaller budgets. And we did that. And it's been great for us going forward. So I would recommend doing that, just making sure you have a good mix of your product line, still giving the same service and letting that customer have the same excellent experience, but being able to not have to say no to those people, being able to work with them. I truly believe good design is for everyone. You don't have to have, the $100,000 kitchen budget. So we have made that a reality here, and it's worked well for us.
That's great. Yes, absolutely. And Teddy, with Adornis, I mean, they've been growing for the last 5 years. They're not positioned as a corporation like the big three. You have Master Brands, you have American Woodmark, you have the Cabinet Work Group. And for those entities out there, and for any businesses that's large, I think, again, Amy mentioned big ships. It's hard to turn them quickly. And this is where we're going to find where the rubber hits the road. And those ones that have more flexibility and can move and react faster are certainly going to have a competitive advantage. So, Teddy, I want to hear some of your thoughts as what you're seeing out there and some of the things that you guys are going to be focusing on in the future.
Yeah, sure. So what I see out there is I've done my first 2 years at Adornis was doing sales. So based on going to showroom, what I see is smaller dealers who are able to, have lower overhead costs. Like you don't need much. What I see is you don't really need much to have a showroom anymore. If you have just a couple sample cabinets and a few things here and there, it's enough to, be a successful showroom. And being a company with a smaller staff, you're able to pivot to different areas to find different segments in the market and really capitalize on those gains. I've seen dealers from working out of, like small, like WeWorks, some cooperating spaces. And we have a couple dealers that have these smaller spaces and even they have like little vans that have showrooms in them. And they do quite well going to customers' houses and doing measurements. But Amy is certainly correct. We are a company, Adornis Cabinetry is a company of a little bit over 200. And making these changes, so I did the flow of operations for our semi-custom line, which is our designer series. Making some of these changes is very hard because
Go ahead.
For example, you make a change in an order, you already have, 150 orders into your system. And if you make a change, that change gets affected in the 151 order. You don't see those changes until months later. So, I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult, but they do provide, you always change for the better. And we have a lot of staff in South Carolina that say, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it that way when we're doing it this way for so long? And for anything, I think change needs to be welcomed anywhere, because it's for the better.
Yeah, that's a great point, Teddy. I mean, when we talk about being able to adapt to what's going on, and you mentioned it too, Amy, like the culture of your organization needs to realize that change is coming whether you like it or not. So you might as well embrace it and be able to change more quickly. And it's definitely going to position your company in a better spot. One of the things that they're doing at Adornis is they have the RFID, which is the radio frequency chips in their cabinets as they go through their parts and pieces in the plant. And so that's a great way to start tracking them. And new technologies are coming out like that I think are going to help those manufacturers become more efficient, which is going to be huge for them. They're going to have to be nimble too. One thing too, just talking to some of the manufacturers, and we've really been working with a lot of rep agencies. So you look at the manufacturers and they have a base of business with their dealers that are out there. Just hypothetically, let's say, they have 1,000 dealers. And that's their future. That's where their revenue is coming from. Working with some of those independent reps, we're trying to find ways to help them help their dealers grow. Because they don't typically have a lot of resources at hand. And so if we can bring those together for them, then they can help the dealers position themselves to be able to change. I think both of you have mentioned the online thing, and one of the big whys is why do you need to change is there's so many different models out there right now. A lot of online models which are growing at the fastest rate than any other one, and that's not going to turn around. And like Teddy mentioned, showrooms, we have 1,500 square feet, maybe 2,000. A majority of the expenses that you have there shouldn't be into the showroom all the time. It should be a nice showroom, but just smaller, and then start focusing on the online customer journey, because that's here, and that's not going anywhere, but going to be a bigger part of how dealers sell. So when you're talking about websites, I just hit on this a little bit because it's really important, is what does your website look like? I mean, everybody is a referral base in most dealer cases. That's what they really want coming to the door. They do get people who are driving by or see their website out there. But that website needs to be strong these days because it's a real reflection of that dealer's brand. And the other thing is, with the consumers changing their behavior, they're going to start spending a lot more time online through this journey before they even walk in the bricks and mortar. Just to give you an example, we're just rolling out what's called Kitchen Planner. And Kitchen Planner is one of the consumer-friendly design softwares, which allows a consumer to go out there and pick the size and measurements of their kitchen, and then start playing around, which they like to do more of now, putting cabinetry in there, picking colors, picking door styles, picking colors for countertops, and the list goes on and on. But it's keeping them on your site, and it's all about making more of a connection with those people that are visiting. You should have plenty of pictures of your team. I don't mean to get into this too much, but the whole sense of what websites were, which was getting information about a company, to where they're moving now, which is the first type of relationship that you're building with that customer. So keeping them engaged on your website is going to be huge. All that information that's being gathered by the Kitchen Planner is going to go right to that dealer. So now they can start, before they even talk to these customers, they have an idea of the door style, colors, all the things that they're working on as far as their project. And then maybe it's time to reach out to that customer and see if you can set up a Zoom meeting. And that might continue to perpetuate longer through that sales process. And that's the way consumers want to do it. And we have to adhere, because at the end of the day, they're going to make the buying decision and decide who's going to be successful and who's not going to be. So I'm going to throw it back into Teddy's court a little bit. And I know this is new for manufacturers as far as finding ways to help, not only provide the cabinetry and what you're doing as far as quality controls and consistency. Are you guys thinking of other ways to maybe help your dealers grow during this slower time? So Teddy, I'll pass it over to you.
How to help our dealers grow? I think the only way for manufacturers to help dealers grow is to just provide these resources, or basically a better better experience, ordering experience, or maybe doing dealer outreaches through our social media network, doing dealer spotlights for our good customers. There's many ideas, and I feel like these are kind of newer ideas, that haven't been really done in this marketplace.
I would agree 100% on that statement.
It'd be a hard question, Thad.
I know. Well, and what you said, Teddy, is absolutely right. We haven't seen them. They focused internally pretty much. I mean, they'll go out and listen to customers as far as like, what do you want door style wise, and colors that are out there. But, that their dealers are their insurance ticket. If those dealers aren't performing out there, then guess what? It's going to reflect on the manufacturer's sales out there. So they really need to key in on how their dealers are doing business and how that can be improved. One thing that I was maybe suggest is that the manufacturers start bringing some of their dealers in as a focus group. And it's not just about the cabinets. In fact, you just want to throw that out. It's like, how can we help you grow business? Because as I said earlier, their resources are very limited, and absolutely get the reps involved, because I think, everybody knows what the independent reps have done for years, and it's stayed very consistent. It's going out, showing doors, styles, helping when problems come up, obviously doing training. But again, I think everybody's role is changing, and particularly theirs. We're working with like Rick Spencer, Selena's group up in New England, we got Jeff Stone's group down through the Mid-Atlantic area. And we're starting to do traction groups, which is process improvement. We've had 3 groups of dealers that have already been through this. And, we see so many inefficiencies in our industry. And if you want to be able to grow, you need to have more access to productivity, which means that you need to eliminate a lot of the things that are going wrong, the mistakes that happen. In our business, it's there. But if you start getting some measurements to it and find ways to make it more seamless and efficient, that's going to give your people to spend more time with the customers and develop more business. So I think that's one way, we like to bring in manufacturers into this traction process, because you can't fix processes without a process improvement methodology in place. You can, but it's not easy. And there's so many changes. I think it's something that people need to learn and get engaged in so they can make these changes faster. So that's just some of the thoughts that I have, Teddy. And just back to you for 1 minute, and I'll tag on Amy, is how do you see the independent reps role evolving in the future, and how they work with their dealers?
That is a great question. And I have seen it. I think they're slow to make the changes, whether it's because they're not empowered enough to do so or because they're just stuck. But for one of our manufacturers, she's just taken on the role of helping us manage shipments. And before that, it was like, okay, this is one of the most useless people in our, in our world. And now we rely on her tremendously because she
Right.
knows that is important to us. So that is just something we didn't expect, and we're taking advantage of that. The other one is, everyone is short on people, right? So when things go wrong in the field, being able to call them and having them meet with the client and go and troubleshoot these things. Training, though, during COVID really just dropped off,
Right.
with good reason, but we'd like to see that come back online because we're missing that a lot,
What do you mean
even
by
if it's
training?
Zoom.
Go
What was
ahead.
that?
What do you
Sorry,
mean by
Teddy.
training? Sorry to interrupt.
What kind of training?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, anything from product training to
Oh, okay.
yeah, to 2020, anything like that. Even Zoom, like a new dealer training once we get into a new product line that was put on hold. So it's kind of like we're doing the training here. And then just keeping in touch with us, helping us with forecasting. I'm open to any additional help we can get, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Teddy, do you have any?
Yeah, the salesperson role, I think, is changing to be more of an involved, like Amy was saying, more of an involved role into a dealer's business. Job site visits I see are more and more frequent. I don't know. It makes me think if there's a way to increase the involvement of the salesperson, like managing shipments or finding lead times or availabilities, because the typical thing, what happens is the salesperson just calls our office and just acts as a bridge between the manufacturer and the dealer, and empowering the salespeople looking at their orders or finding getting accurate ship weeks, or maybe just updates on their orders, just where it is. So in a sense, it'll be like, the salesperson will be like an arm, kind of like an inside rep for the factory.
Absolutely. I can't even tell you how great that is. We have had no control before, and any dealer knows when you see a date of August 9th and they call you on August 7th and said, oh, sorry, it's not coming until the 22nd. It's like, okay, that's a whole chain of dominoes that we have to reset up again.
Yeah.
And that help is extremely appreciated. If we could get more accurate lead times, even if it's longer than we wanted, just notice would be great.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
communication
definitely.
there is.
Go ahead, Teddy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. The communication there is becoming increasingly important. I don't think I think but yeah, like manufacturing with labor, and in manufacturing, anything that can go wrong does go wrong. Like machines going down, people not showing up to work, your supply of raw goods being not the expectations, seeing as it is, humidity, electricity, there's hundreds of wars where manufacturers are fighting every day to get product out the door. And yeah, it's difficult, but but at the end of the day, product does come out the door, and we need to please our dealers, please our customers.
Like I mentioned earlier, roles are changing, and everybody, they've had this traditional look of how things work, what they do. But this industry is going to be disruptive. If I have anything to do with it, I really like to see it, because I think it's going to benefit people. When we can start streamlining stuff and better communication, as Teddy was talking about, I'll be honest. Like 6 months ago, I was thinking the independent reps. I'm like, okay, so what value are they bringing? And again, it's been that traditional, just show up every once in a while, help them with the order. I'm not saying it's bad. This is what they've been doing for 30 years. And now when COVID came around, they weren't as, I understand they weren't visiting the dealers, but now the dealers like to see them more, because there's a lot of changes, a lot of things going on, and that communication is critical. And it's also critical for those independent reps being supported by their manufacturers to come up with resources and solutions for those dealers. Like we talked about online stuff, like how could the manufacturer help all their dealers get something going on that front? It may come down to, honestly, with the manufacturers and what they have on their plate, that help may come from the independent reps. I don't see how the manufacturer would be able to spend time with 500 dealers to help them. But they do have the reps, and the reps may have 50, 100 dealers, and it'd be a lot easier for them to be able to work with them and come up with a plan, strategy, and support that dealer in moving forward. But I'll tell you right now, the belief is that you got to have an ecosystem. No one is successful on their own. You can do everything as a dealer to have a great experience with a customer. Everything is going right. And then what Amy just said, it's supposed to come on August 17th, and it just got moved to the 24th. And whoa, customers happy about that. Like everything's changed. It's just blown up, right? They've been prepared for this. And that has a really big impact on the brand of the dealer. So those things, and understanding and getting closer to the dealer business. I want to see manufacturers understand that a little bit more. And then even more importantly, the independent reps understanding the internal workings of the dealers and what they can bring to the table to help them. I think everybody working together, you got the manufacturers and the independent reps and the dealers, and that's that electronic digital communication or face communication, and working together. That is going to be a powerful combination. Everybody,
I could not agree more. Seriously, yep. Getting back to your topic of the market and how do we survive in a down market, I just think that the dealers taking interest in our business, how we run our business, what our P&Ls look like, anything like that, our forecasting, our product mix is so helpful. And it's just wow, I just want to sit back and go, that's awesome that you care about us and you have ideas to help us survive during this time.
Yeah, and they're one of the best resources because you know what they do all the time? They're visiting dealers.
Yeah.
So they go in, they can ask questions, they can find out things, and it's going to give them a lot of education and insight as to what's going on out there. They call on 50 dealers. That's a lot of information that they're going to be digesting and understanding. That needs to be passed on to the manufacturers, not just, hey, look, sales numbers are sales. That's great. Obviously, that's one of the most important things, but also understanding how you're getting those sales. Why are those dealers buying from you? Why would they want to buy more from you? What are some of the things that you can do to help them grow and then also grow with your category of cabinets that are out there? So
Yeah,
I
we
think,
don't know what they know.
yeah, go ahead, Amy. I'm
We
sorry.
we don't know what they know, and one of our reps during COVID actually came in and said, I have this great line that would serve you well during this time. You might want to look at it. And I literally signed up that day. And it's been a good line for us, a very good line. And the line that we dropped, just in all honesty, was a line that was a little high end, but they refused to change the way that they processed orders. It was all manual. And the 2020 catalog was ridiculous. It was like the nomenclature was this long and you can't read a drawing. And we said, I love this product, but I cannot work with it. It's hard to order, it's hard to design with. And we dropped the company.
Yep. No, and like I said, in our industry, so just quickly, there's 35,000 dealers out there, right? And most of them are small mom and pops or $2 million, nothing, anything. It's reality, right? It's been very fragmented, and the reason one of the biggest reasons that those entities, those small mom and pops, haven't grown more than 2 million is they can't scale up, right? Or they want to stay that size. And so then the complexity of those dealers and how they do business has been very limited. Thus, you start looking at the manufacturers that serve them, they're used to serving the dealers at this level, right? Now the dealers are going to need this level of support up
Absolutely.
here to help them grow. And that means they got to change. And I just don't see it as much out there. They talk a lot about it. This isn't any slight, it just is what it is. But you don't see the reality of change. And people have to move now.
Yeah,
Um,
these little dealers out there, we have a voice and we can really affect the bottom line of a big company. And I've seen that in the past few years. I've seen that happen.
yeah. And so, it's all about the culture stuff. You got to get into making some of these changes. And everybody like, well, what changes are you going to make? Right off the top of my head, when we looked at dealers and we talk about digital communication between the dealers and the manufacturers haven't come up with a lot of different options there because the dealers weren't in a position to be able to handle that information, right? They didn't have a system that would work with them in place. But now that's really starting to take off. And so, how do you make that communication gap between those two more online, on time, like immediate information that's getting passed? Like, oh, this, anybody who's quoting this product out here and the manufacturer is going to discontinue it. Why aren't they communicating to the people? That stuff's out in 2020 in quotes. That information's there for the manufacturers if you want to see what's happening. But apparently nobody's looking at it because everything's cloud based now. But you can notify those customers and say, hey, we saw you were quoting this product and we're going to discontinue it in September. And here's some other options. So you can start talking to your customer now instead of just a general email going out that they may or may not see. Now you have a personal touch to that designer. That designer is going to be so happy that they got this information early directly from the manufacturer. Guess what? It's going to make that customer happy, or because you're not finding out or not realizing when you order it that it's not there anymore, or lead times are changed. So they can do something then. That customer is going to be happy, and that designer, guess what? They are going to start selling more and more of that product. We all talk about the service factor that's in there, and we need to recreate what that looks like. Because if everybody's at this level, the ones that want to have something that's going to distinguish them, differentiate them, are the things up here, not down here. These are the basics. These are the standards. Now people have to say, what really, when someone asks the manufacturer, what are some of the other things that you're doing other than just producing cabinets? So obviously is really important and getting there on time. But what other things can you help with? What are your reps here to help us with? That needs to become a much stronger relationship moving forward. Any thoughts from you guys right now?
We love the Christmas gifts.
Go ahead, Amy.
I was going to say, we love all the Christmas gifts and candy, but we could really just use better communication throughout the year.
Yeah, it's, like I said, it's changing. I think manufacturers need to talk to their reps about what they're doing with the dealers out there above just helping them when there's problems, because this is going to be a growth issue. Hey, look, the drop, I'm going to say is going to be, and I talked to Teddy about this yesterday. I said between 10 to 20% in sales. Some of that's going to be due to the promotions that are going on. Because when you looked at manufacturing back in April and May, it was flat. The sales were up 22%. So you know why? It's all price increases. That's what's raised the level of sales. The number of cabinets that are going out is flat. And so as prices come down, they're not going to lower prices, I don't think, but they will put promotions out there, which will lower sales numbers, right? Because you pass on that 10% off or whatever it is. So those are some of the components that are in here that everybody needs to understand. Because look, let's just say it goes down 20%. Right? I don't know if it's going to go that far, but definitely 10%. And now that share of the pie has become smaller. Okay, this is the time to take market share. Otherwise, you're going to drop sales 20% or more, maybe 15%. That's not where you want to be. You want to be in a position to take market share now so that your sales are not only flat, but growing at this time. And that's going to be coming up with solutions, working together to make that partnership and the ideas you bring to the table together in a more focused way. And like Teddy said earlier, I laughed about it because execution is absolutely the hardest thing to do in business. I don't know how many guys out there have like put a strategy together or initiative, and then 3 months later, everybody's asking like, "Hey, what happened to that initiative we had?" Everybody just gets busy. It's not anything wrong. It's just human nature. That's what happens at work. But now everybody's been working in the business. Now it's time to work on the business. If you're not working on the business, you're not changing. So you have to figure out ways to do it, whether it's learning process improvements. I want to get into the next slide, which is on the online journey. I do want to ask you guys, I am a big proponent of process mapping. So like Amy and I are working together right now, and we are process mapping every step of the journey for their online customers that are out there. They may only go 3 or 4 steps through it. They may go 5 or 6. They may go the whole way. We have to be prepared to make sure every one of those steps has touch points in it. And so the customer is really happy with that experience.
Yep, absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Amy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you mentioned something about Zoom, which was really interesting, Amy. Planted a seed. Like when you talk about Zoom meetings and meeting with customers, which is obviously a lot more prevalent now, what does that Zoom meeting look like? One of the things I was thinking about the other day, if you're just starting to meet a customer, when you have that first Zoom meeting, why don't you email them like a Starbucks $10 card, and you talk about like introductions over coffee. So they could, if they have the chance, they could go out and get one, but at least it's the thought. And now, guess what? That brand is already coming off strong to that customer about how you're focused on that experience that they're going to have.
I
We all
love
know.
it.
Go ahead, Amy, please.
Yeah, we one another thing COVID taught us was that not all the leads that are coming in are good leads. So we implemented a discovery call, kind of a first step. So our first meet and greet with that client is usually on Zoom, or we use Teams, but it's a video meeting. And that's where we introduce ourselves. We learn a little bit more about their project, and then a lot of us, if we can remember, are sending the handwritten notes to say thank you, looking forward to the next step. And then obviously we have a lot of automated emails that go out, so we're constantly in touch with that person.
Yeah, that's great. And look, this journey that used to be just showroom based, like, okay, let's map that out, which I don't know how many people have mapped out their customer journey in the showroom. Yes, thank you, Amy. Awesome. But not many people have done that. The reason it's so important, I want to get back to Teddy, is that your brand is based on the experience that the customer has. And if you don't have certain touch points when they come in, have a chalkboard up front, maybe with their name on it, that's huge. You'd be amazed. And then everything else, like Amy, you mentioned sending them a personal card after the visit. I'm a big advocate of that because those are the things that they remember all
Yes.
through the project. Where do you have these touch points?
Yeah.
And then aftercare. Has anybody ever process mapped that out? Because
Yes.
this is what's going to happen. That customer is going to get a new kitchen or whatever the project is. And once it's all in place, they're going to have gobs of visitors there. They're going to have neighbors. They're going to have friends, family, if they must. And, that's the people that go there. Everybody's going to see that kitchen. No one gets out of that house until that customer shows them the new kitchen.
No, right.
And very first question that they're going to ask is who did it? And then the story that the dealer and manufacturer have created is what they're going to tell people. And so, Teddy, from your side, in the manufacturing, understanding that you play a huge role in the brand of the dealer is really high. It's so important. As I said earlier, you may have a great relationship going on with that customer, and then something doesn't show up on time or something's wrong. Boom. Then it starts to hurt the story that they tell other people. Like, yeah, there were a couple problems, but they got them fixed. Well, those people aren't racing to the dealer to get that job done, to get their project started. So Teddy, just as we were talking about the relationships and the partners, having more dialogue with those dealers and how they see their growth, I think is something that your independent reps are going to be out there asking them about. And then you guys have a group meeting with these independent reps so that you can hear what the dealers are telling you guys. And I don't know if those take place enough, but I'll turn it over to Teddy. Like, how is your interaction with the reps right now, the independent reps that are out there with your product?
Yeah, so we do have weekly meetings with our independent reps, kind of go over their concerns, and essentially it's having them oversee what's going on that the manufacturer is receiving, basically quotes, sales orders, lead times, and basically they're what they need in order to succeed at what they do. But this all relates back to that original task to give them more power, oversight into our systems to see, manage, and handle their dealers. In a sense, something like a CRM tool to manage their dealer relationships.
Yes, absolutely. That information that you have on the dealers, and when you're having meetings with them, Teddy, I know we're talking about sales and POs and orders and all the rest of that stuff. But one of the things is like, hey, what are the dealers telling you? Like, what are they seeing? But more importantly, what are their plans moving forward? Right? How are they going to grow with things starting to slow down?
Yeah.
and then working with the manufacturer, the independent reps with the manufacturer support, coming up with plans to go in and talk to those dealers about them. I'll tell you, if you want to be a separator from the other manufacturers that are out there, that's the only thing you have. I mean, what would be the value if someone's coming in and saying, "Hey, I'm hearing this from other dealers. Here's the way. I want to understand what your strategy is moving forward and how we can really support you, and not just the talk, actually doing it." So please, Amy, share with us.
Yeah, I mean, we all know sales is about relationships, right? It's we all sell the same thing basically. So what is gonna sell them on you? It's the relationship you're building. So let's think out of the box. Let's talk about having manufacturers fund a sponsor an after sale champagne reception at the client's house, invite all of their friends and neighbors and family. Let's talk about helping us pay for photography. I don't know about other dealers, but I don't have a huge marketing budget, and photographers are not cheap. I just think that when the market is slow, you need to really be present on social media, and that's another place that that the manufacturers could help the dealers out a great deal, is by helping us build relationships.
Yeah, one of the things that we're going to do that we're working with our independent reps on, like video content is here and it's only going to be growing. Like a majority of what you see out there is going to become video content. And being able to put things like, let's say, and I know you talked about the photography side, but I think my phone around here has like 18 cameras on it, none of them which I know how to use. But I have used it before and it gets a good picture. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like, say one of your builders did a really nice kitchen and you go in there and you scan the kitchen and then we put it into like the exciting video, right? For that customer. And then you could put it on your site if you want. The builder could put it on his site. And more importantly, guess who else could put it out on their social media?
The clients.
The client, right? And then everybody, like maybe you just take a picture halfway through and start getting people's interest, right? Just go out and scan it and then like either do it yourself or use us or whatever. That's one of the things we want to do is promote that video content. And that's going to be key. I mean, gosh, you can only imagine when that customer who has the same demographics as the other people that are typically, you know, they're homeowners, you know, they have a lot of times the money to be able to remodel. That's their social media group. And now go ahead.
I love shout outs on social media. If the manufacturers reps would give us a shout out like Teddy mentioned, just highlighting a dealer, that is awesome. We would run with that. We would put that on our social media. It makes our clients feel like, wow, I worked with a really amazing company. I mean, look, everyone thinks they're great. So that's free, right, Teddy?
It gives you legitimacy, you know, like this is real life by our company that we worked together and it went out successful. So that gives you a proof of, you know,
That's a great point, Teddy. Yeah. Absolutely. Anything that, you know, that's another way to help support those people. And they can get it out on, you know, the dealer's website. If it's not like, oh, Adornis, you know, is realized because, and they talk about the amazing service that they're providing, that they're great partners with us, right? And you have that out there. It's that whole ecosystem we're talking about.
Yeah.
And customers, like you said, it's all about trust and confidence. And those are the two of you guys working together with the independent reps and coming up with solutions how to do that. They're there. They're absolutely there. I'll work with Amy to get these video bios going that could be out on the site. It's so cool for a customer to be able to click on some, like Amy, she talks for 45 seconds to a minute about her love and passion for design, anything else. Guess what? That customer that's on that website is already going to start making a connection with Amy because they just reading a profile is this, a video content of her working is this. So
true. I could talk all about my dogs, and then anyone with dogs would just want to work with me.
I have a dog, so, but yeah, it's things like that. But look, I'll leave you with this. We're at about 12:50 right now is when we want to ask if there's any questions coming from the audience. And I want to thank you for joining us. I think we just went over the 10,000 number and streaming. Okay, maybe it's a little bit lower than that, but and we do get a good audience and we appreciate you. And hopefully you're finding things. I always tell people, look, knowledge is it can be powerful, but the only way it can ever be powerful is to put it into action, right? I know how to lose weight. I know how to do it, but if I don't put it into action, this is the result. So, but it's true. It's like anything. You come up with these new ideas, execution is hard, but you're going to have to trust yourself and then start relying on each other. You have to hold each other accountable as you grow together. Those relationships are going to become stronger. That's going to be a huge competitive advantage for both the manufacturer, the dealer, and the reps that are in there engaging with them. So before we close down, I didn't know, Amy, do you have any passing words as we move on to see if we have any chats out there?
I'm really fired up. I'm just every time I talk to you, Thad, I get so many great ideas and I feel very motivated. I know that the downturn is coming to us. It hasn't come yet, but I see it. And I'm actually not scared having been through COVID. I think we have the tools and the great culture to deal with this. We'll just pivot.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. We have a meeting tomorrow. We're working on some other cool things. That's what people need to be doing. It's good. It's going to be great, man. When you see these things in place finally and they start working, there's nothing that feels better. It's really good. It's great for the customers too. Teddy, do you have any parting words before we go to anything in the chat room?
Yeah, I mean, all these ideas have definitely for us. We opened a plant 2 years ago, and it's always been about what can we change about this, really old industry that will separate us from other people. And it's not just the quality of machinery and anything like that. It's the whole thing from online ordering, processing, social media. How can we increase market share in a showroom besides just displays? It's we're always thinking about what can we do to grab market share and basically have our dealers have a better user experience, and even further than that as well. So for us, we're a young team, and we definitely have a lot of talent on our end as well. So we're always thinking, always our brains are turning and working here. Probably less than 20% of my time is working in the company, and 80% of my time is working on the company. So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
always
So,
ways,
yeah.
always ways to improve.
It's Teddy, I love to hear that from you. I love the people out of Dornis. They're forward thinking. They're doing new things that are out there. It's all about challenging yourself. Come up with new ideas. And, some of them may or may not, I don't know, but if you put a lot of thought into it and you follow through, I'll tell you, Teddy, when you're talking to dealers and your reps are talking about some of the stuff that you're doing, like you're saying, Amy Hart is out and supported by Adornos, is like, somehow recognizing and talking about those things. That's big to the dealers. It's like, wow, they're going to another level. It's not just a provider of product, but it's helping us grow our business with them in a partnership.
Yeah, the old model doesn't work anymore. And, and it was valid. The dealers relied, the manufacturers' reps relied on the dealers to do their thing. We sell. Now we need more help. We need help growing our business. We need help selling your product. So that's where we need to be looking.
Yep. When things were changing years ago, it was going maybe, 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, 20. Now the acceleration is like this. It's up to 60 to 70 miles an hour. And guess what? It's only going to get faster. And now we're feeling it. And to what you said, Amy, is people need to work together how to manage adapting to what is going on at that speed. No more looking in the rearview mirror. That stuff is done. We're going to break this thing. We're going to disrupt this market in a way that's going to help manufacturers, dealers, and the most important thing, the customers out there, the consumers.
Yep.
That's exciting stuff. David, do we have any? Okay, I'm going to make up a question. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, look, I just want to thank you guys again. You've been great guests today. I really like hearing a lot of the ideas and some of the things that you're going to be focusing on and are focusing on. So, Teddy from Adornis, thank you so much for participating today. And Amy, one of my best friends, thank you so much for coming on board and sharing some of the things that are going on in your dealership.
My pleasure. Signing off from Charlottesville. Thanks, Thad.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, Amy.
That's a nice door behind you, by the way, Thad.
Thank you. I have all the decorations. It's probably Adornis.
Yeah, that's our door.
I wouldn't doubt it at all. Wow. Okay, guys, listen, have a great afternoon, and thanks for joining us today.
All right, thank you.
That was good stuff.